All right, so stop the madness of the trade rumors in the offseason. I actually don't want that to happen because it's going to become the crux of my channel, I think. So I'm just starting out, guys, so bear with me. Before I get into this compilation of talking about different rumors for the Raptors offseason, I want to say thanks to those of you that reached out to give feedback on the first few videos that I've put up. What I'm really liking is that there's a lot of diehard hoops fans, not even just Raptors fans out there, that are very interested in content like this where we delve into the actual non-fiction version of what could happen with a franchise in the NBA. And that's something I'm very keen on doing with peers. So shout out to all of the content creators out there. Thanks for an amazing job. But also thanks to those of you that have reached out. Next thing I want to do is say congrats, Bucks fans. When I left for the cottage, I was gone when it was 2-1, and I predicted Bucks victory to even the series at 2-2. I came home totally under the veil of ignorance. I got to watch 3 amazing basketball games last night, start to finish, minute 0 all the way to minute 48. Amazing series. My favorite thing was this morning when I got to see Stephen A., blowhard of all blowhards, Max Kellerman, talk about how Giannis single-handedly won this championship, which just to me, I don't know how someone can be present at a basketball game like Game 6, Game 5, Game 4, Game 3, Game 2, all of them, and really believe that one player just won the game. I just don't get it. Anyway, Bucks fans, congrats. Coach Bud deserved it. Giannis deserved it. Anyone that thinks that Connaughton, Portis, Brook Lopez, Middleton, Drew Holiday on Devin Booker, who was unstoppable until game 3 of this series. Bucks win is a testament to the idea that the ESPN idea that you can get 3-star players and therefore win a championship, superstars, is horseshit. One of those guys gets injured and you're the Brooklyn Nets out in the second round. So cut it out, man. Anyone that knows basketball knows that it's next man up, accept your role, all the team buys in, defense wins championships. There was all this hype that this is going to be an offensive juggernaut win this year. Didn't see that. Anyway, let's get into the meat of this video, guys. So this is all about dispelling rumors. So let's take a look. So the first thing I wanted to delve into is Masai's contract. So he's actively working with the team. Quotes straight from mainstream media are that literally that he's looking with Bobby Webster to work this offseason to turn it into their second championship team. And so that's kind of the first rumor I want to dispel, is that when I'm watching these really sensational trade ideas online, it's fun to talk about them, but they're not reality. And I'm going to show you, if you haven't watched my other videos, which demonstrate this, that the Raptors are not a rebuilding team. They're a team that had a terrible season last year because of the situation with COVID and Tampa Bay and Aaron Baines not getting on the plane from Phoenix. A different player entered Raptors training camp. So a number of things contributed to the Raptors having a poor season. Fingers crossed, all across the nation turned that into a 4th overall pick, which is a great asset. And so Masai looks to be working with the team. So let's talk about the second rumor, and that's that the draft is the next thing on their radar. It's not. The draft is on their radar, and everything will be decided leading up to the draft with the draft in mind and knowing what they can get in the draft. But the notion that the next decision for the Raptors franchise is who to draft 4th overall is inaccurate. It's not even remotely true. So if that's the case, what is the truth? Well, I'll get to that next. But first, I want to ask you to like the video, subscribe, And if you're interested in seeing the content I put up for Hoops or other content that I plan on doing, hit the notification bell. If you hate me eventually, you can get rid of it. And again, thanks to those of you that have already done it. I'm just starting out, guys. I think I'm really shooting for 50 subs or something crazy like that. Yeah, the real offseason next move is actually what's called expiring contracts here. So what is that evaporating window that takes place before the draft? There's this amazing period of time that GMs and VPs like Masai-ah and Bobby Webster have an opportunity to use something called expiring contracts. So when we got Gary Trent Jr., everyone talked about how that's a decent return for Norm Powell, but it wasn't just Gary Trent Jr.'s free agent status and his bird rights that we got in that trade. That's going to be a great thing, but we also got Rodney Hood's contract. What? Why is that important? Yeah, exactly. I'm going to educate you. Rodney Hood can be released this year, no consequences. So can Aaron Baines at $7 million. Or we could re-sign him for $7 million, Rodney Hood at 10. But what else can we do with them? Guess what? These two players could actually turn into a Raptors championship. What? I know, right? Up until 3 days before the NBA draft, expiring contracts can be used to trade for assets from other teams and still remain above the salary cap, because we have what's called a soft cap in the NBA. So these contracts can be combined with players to turn them into things. So if you haven't watched my earlier videos, one of them is pretty much dedicated to explaining this concepts of bird rights, concept of expiring contracts. So if you think that Bobby Webster and Masai-ah are just going to not use this contract from Rodney Hood, you're sorely mistaken. They are looking for options right now. And I made a video talking about how Christian Wood, Vucevic, and Cat, like I just said, Karl Anthony Towns, these are teams that would love the 4th overall pick this year. You add one of these players to our roster, and we're looking at potentially winning the East. All right? So don't rule out these things. And if you don't believe me, if you believe the other fan fiction, look at the graphic that I've put up here that shows you the Raptors contracts. We have locked in our core for the next few years, and we're going to be going for it. So the next rumor I want to talk about is Kalo sign-in trade. It's not going to happen. Again, go back and watch my other videos. Kalo in a sign-in trade is not going to happen. Why do I say this? Well, let's get to it. Kalo is at its highest value at the trade deadline. So what they'll do is they'll bring him back, they'll assess their team, hopefully fill the holes that they have in the offseason, maybe even, I hope, draft the 4th overall pick. I'm like you guys, I want to see us draft that pick. But they're going to be looking at what they can do by the midseason, and if they're not going to be going for it, maybe they trade Kalo at the trade deadline when his value is the highest. My gut tells me that it might be Gary Trent Jr. that moves at the deadline as an asset and not Kalo. Okay? So there, you heard it here first. So what's the next rumor? The next rumor is that Jalen Suggs is a swap for Kalo. So like I said, Kalo's not going anywhere. We're going to re-sign Kalo. So I want to first dispel this. All of this stuff online that says Jalen Suggs is a perfect replacement for Kalo is horseshit. Again, go watch my videos talking about the different draft prospects, and you'll understand that if we were rebuilding, this would make sense. But we're not rebuilding. Kalo will be coming back. Jalen Suggs is not even on the Raptors' radar, in my opinion. Okay, look at our team. They're guard heavy. I've already made videos about this. So who are we looking at? I give you Scotty Barnes, another guy I made a full video on. If you haven't watched interviews and tape about Scotty Barnes, you're missing the whole point. He enters the league as Draymond Green. I think he's already as good as Ben Simmons because he lacks a jumper. And so does Ben Simmons. And he has the ceiling of a Kawhi Leonard. So anyway, go watch my video on Scotty Barnes. He will be the guy the Raptors take at 4 because he's such a good player that although draft analysts has been sleeping on him, I assure you GMs and VPs and NBA scouts have not been sleeping on Scotty Barnes. It is not a new concept that Scotty Barnes could go in the top 5. it's new to you and me, okay? But it's not new to other people, because best available player comes down to what is the state of your franchise? What are you in the mode of doing? And what type of player is the best available for you? Scotty Barnes for the Raptors has always been, other than maybe Cade and Mobley, the best available prospect in this draft within the lottery. And I made a video about this. So let's go through this statement, because he just worked out with the Raptors. That was one of my concerns. I was worried that maybe he wouldn't want to come to Toronto. He just worked out with the Raptors, so I'm positive they will be drafting him if they draft that pick. I am also positive they cannot trade down and get him still, because Jeff Weltman and Sam Presti, that's the GMs of the Magic and the Thunder, will grab this guy if the Raptors pass on him. Okay? So Scotty Barnes is the guy the Raptors will take. Now, here's a rumor I want to dispel. So this was online. This is a great quote. Logic suggests Suggs will go fourth to the Raptors with 35-year-old Lowry entering free agency and Toronto coming off a 27-win season. But it also sounds like Scotty Barnes has become a hot enough name for the Raptors to think about drafting him. Does anyone else see a problem here? Is the suggestion here, and I'm actually seeing this online, like people are actually saying, oh, he's gotten hotter, his stock has gone up. Do you really think that Masai and Bobby Webster are going to consider a player just because ESPN and a bunch of fans on the internet now think Scotty Barnes is decent? That's why he's now on their radar? That's absurd. Guys, he's always been top of their list. It's never been not the case. And if you don't know why, go watch my video on him. He is the guy that we need. He is entering the team as Draymond off the bench. Okay? And he is the type of player we draft and seek. Okay? He is a team first defensive elite player already. All right? Anyway, so this idea that he's just now on everyone's radar is completely absurd and asinine. All right, let's get into the next stuff here, because I don't want to spend time on Barnes, who I already did a video about. So the next section I'm going to go through is going to talk about actual trades that I've seen, and I want to frame them under this. Remember this mantra. Does a contender do this? We are not rebuilding. Does a contender do this? And the first one I want you to look at is the Golden State Warriors trade that everyone talked about. So that involved Wiggins, Wiseman, a draft pick in exchange for Pascal Siakam. The thing that wasn't online that needs to be part of this trade is an expiring contract like Rodney Hood or Aaron Baines. Without those contracts, this trade can't get done because Wiseman's paid $10 million a season, which is exactly what Rodney Hood's contract is. So in order to make this work, they got to have Rodney Hood or Aaron Baines be involved. I'm not sure how tight it is. Would the Raptors do this trade? As hesitant as I am to move any of our 5 vets that have rings, so that we're part of our 2019 team, I got to tell you that Andrew Wiggins, Canadian-born, who always needs fresh pastures, it looks like, Wiseman and a first pick. If Golden State's willing to do their 7th overall pick, I'm actually willing to do this. The problem is Golden State is not going to do this. They learned the hard way in 2019 that putting all of your money into 3-star players is totally the worst way to construct a basketball team. Look at the Brooklyn Nets. Look at the freaking LA Lakers. Look at Kawhi-less Clippers, who played really well as a team but missed that player. Like, putting all your money in, all your eggs in 1 or 2 baskets is how you lose championships. Sure, if everything plays perfectly and everyone's healthy, you can win. But do they really want to go with a lineup where they have no cap room to do anything beyond 3 players? That's like not viable. And they give up Wiggins in a 7th? That's insane. Or the 14th. I don't remember what the trade proposal was. Either way, I don't think Golden State does this trade, guys. Should the Raptors do it? I think Pascal's worth keeping, but this is a viable trade. Keep in mind, it has to happen before the draft. Next one, I just grouped up a whole bunch of players that have heard in rumors. The first one's Tyler Hero, Ben Simmons. I included Kemba Walker because he's definitely an asset the Thunder will look to move at the trade deadline next year. None of these are going to happen to the Raptors. Why? I'm going to sweep past them, guys. The reason is we're not rebuilding, and the assets we would have to give up to get these guys are too great for the return. Like we're contending in the East. So why would we give up a bunch of good stuff? Anything we give up will probably not include our 5 championship vets. That's Boucher, OG, Pascal, Fred, and Kyle. And the reason is these guys love Toronto. They want to play in Toronto. They've re-signed in Toronto. That's a hard thing to find, okay? And they've got championship caliber DNA, okay? They're not being moved for nothing. Another one I saw was definitely by an OKC Thunder fan, content creator, and the notion was that we would trade OG Anunoby and a 4th overall pick in exchange for the Thunder's 14th pick. Not 14th, was it? Oh my goodness, it might have been. Anyway, the Thunder pick, even if it was at 6, plus Shea. This is not going to happen. There's no way. We're guard heavy. We don't need Shea. The Thunder already made a trade to get Kemba instead of Horford, and that's because they want Shea to mentor under Kemba, at least until the trade deadline. So you won't even see Kemba get moved until the trade deadline. Okay? So, like, this is a big deal. Like, you have to think like a GM. You can't just go, like, you can't get a boner every time you hear a big name and go, yeah, that could be good. So none of these are viable. Okay, so next up, we've got these recent ones, and I want to give a shout out to the Warwick Report and Amateur Hour Hoops, Amateur Hour Sports. Great content providers, fan-based content stuff for Toronto Raptors. Both of them have spoken about these types of trades, and these are good ones. So the first one for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, obviously, according to me, is not going to happen. We're not looking for projects. We're going for it. We're not rebuilding. The second one, Lonzo Ball, again, too much of a project. We're going to re-sign Kalo. He's the last guy we need right now, and he's definitely not championship caliber right now. He does not replace Kalo, okay? So he's out of it. The third one I saw was Steven Adams in the 17th overall pick in exchange for a sign-and trade with Kalo. As I already said, sign-and trades for Kalo aren't going to happen. But let me do some math for you. Steven Adams is 17 mil a season. Rodney Hood's contract's 10 mil. Aaron Baines' contract's 7 mil. We might see a trade for Steven Adams or a guy like him before the NBA draft by the Raptors, but it's going to cost us. And losing a guy like Jalen Harris because of his drug substance abuse stuff is a big deal. So he could have been a trade chip for us. Now we're left with guys like Malachi Flynn and things like that. So I don't necessarily see this happening. I definitely don't see it happening as a sign-and trade, but it could happen before the draft in a creative play to get Steven Adams from the Pelicans, because people that didn't understand why Steven Adams was signed by the Pelicans, here's why he was signed by the Pelicans. Jackson Hayes was a project, and they brought in Steven Adams to give them a bit of a playoff window, get them some experience, but also to mentor Jackson Hayes. So if the Pelicans feel like they're done mentoring Hayes under Adams, then Adams becomes movable, and you might see something like this take place. Okay, so Steven Adams is definitely one to watch, but as a sign and trade, it's not viable. So next up, the Lillard trade. So mainstream media says that Dame Lillard might come to Toronto potentially, like major destination. Is this viable? Well, let's think about it. First of all, the trade involved this. Let me actually get it here. So something like Dame Lillard and Robert Covington. Okay, so the Raptors get that in exchange for Malachi Flynn, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and their 4th overall pick. That's what I've seen. I've seen others where instead of the 4th overall pick, it's like future first rounders. Do the Raptors want to do that? No, they're not rebuilding. Does Damian Lillard want to go from a Portland team that he wants to have more stars laterally to a Raptors team that just traded all their stars to get him? Hell no. Whoever made this trade up is crazy. So it's great. It's awesome fiction. but this is not going to happen. Like, there's no way Portland gives up Damian Lillard instead of just tweaking their lineup, first of all. Like, this is absolutely asinine. Lillard has not requested a trade. He said he wants to win. And so the guy they'll look to move around is maybe like CJ McCollum. It's not going to be Lillard. It's maybe Nurkic for a modern day center instead of, you know, him being a regular old big. It's not going to be Damian Lillard, okay? And it's certainly not going to be to a team like the Raptors, who are not rebuilding. We are like going for it. And does Dame coming in put us over the hump? Well, sure, if we don't have to trade Fred and Pascal. But we do. So it's not going to happen. Anyway, guys, I hope this puts some of the trade rumors to rest for you. I'll eat crow if I'm wrong. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hit the little alert. I'm not going to make videos every day or even every couple days, but they will come out and they'll be exhaustive like this. Just remember, guys, it takes really tough decisions to win. We had to give up DeMar to win our last Larry, and we might have to give up a 4th overall pick to win the next one. All right, peace out.
This is Chef's Kiss approved. Mwah!